And you know what I liked about this question was the way that it relates to the civilian sector. Because you know what I talk about a lot? A lot of times I talk about how my relationship with my boss, regardless of who my boss was, regardless if my boss was great or my boss was horrible, my relationship was always the same. I was going to build a relationship where they trusted me. They gave me what I needed to do my job, and then they let me do my job. That's the relationship I always had with all my bosses, right? But that same methodology and concept can absolutely be applied to other organizations that you're supposed to work with. So whether it's the Army, whether it's the Marine Corps, whether it's the Iraqi soldiers, whether it's the MPs, whether it's the Intel people, that the Intel organization that you're working with, no matter what the organization, you can build a relationship. Again, might you love that organization? No, you might not. And where I see this all the time, we see it all the time now, is with businesses. Because guess what? There's no business that's standalone, or I should say there's very few that are completely vertically integrated businesses. I mean, like at Origin, right? We're pretty vertically integrated, but guess what? We don't grow the cotton. Like, we don't do that. We don't grow cotton. But guess what? We have a good relationship with the people that grow cotton. We have a good relationship with the people that dye the cotton. So we build those relationships with those other people. Now, I work with businesses where there's a supplier that they don't like. So guess what? They form a hostile relationship with this whole company, a whole company. What good does that do them? It doesn't do them any good at all. What it means is they have no personal relationships. They form that antagonistic relationship with a whole nother organization, and it's almost impossible to overcome. So now this is something where if you don't explain that culture throughout your team, they're going to treat that other team horribly. And so if you're waiting on supplies, if you're on a construction site and you're waiting for materials to be delivered and you don't have a good relationship with the people that deliver the drywall, and now the drywall's running late for whatever reason, and you fly off the handle or whatever, you're not going to get that drywall any earlier. It's not happening. Have you ever, you know, when I call customer service, right? Customer service. I learned this when I was working for the Admiral, working for the Admiral's Aid. I'd call up, we traveled a lot, and I'd have to call up whatever, Delta or American, whoever, and I'd be trying to get whatever, seats on an aircraft or something, or a flight that was full, whatever, get him an upgrade, whatever. And, you know, I'd say, hey, how you doing? That's always, I always start off with the, because they're going, American Airline, how can I help you? And they're mad, right? They're just mad to start with.
How dare you call me?
Out of the gate, they're mad. Whatever, you know, airline, whatever car rental service, whatever restaurant, like, people are just mad.
They don't care.
They're mad. They don't know who you are.
Well, they've just talked to probably, you know, the last 25 people have screamed and yelled.
At them, and it's awful. So, you know, you call them and say, hey, how's it going? And, you know, I had little micro jokes that I would make with the airlines that I used with all of them all the time. But one of them was, they'd say, well, do you need to sit next to your boss? And I'd say, you know what? I'd honestly appreciate it if you put me as far away from it. And they'd laugh, and then they'd try and hook me up, even though my boss was a great guy and I'd sit with him all day. But just, it was a funny thing, and it humanized me with them. They thought I was some poor, sorry bastard that had to travel with his boss, and then they were trying to take care of me. It was like awesome. So I would get the hookups. I remember one time I went up and I had a conversation on the phone with someone. And then, of course, this is different because it was live, but I had a conversation. They're like, no, can't get you on that flight. And then I went up to the counter, and I was like, hey, how you doing? I'm trying to get me and my boss it's on this flight, and we're trying to get there. And he's like, this girl's like, well, you know, do you need to go today? I'm like, well, look, if we don't get there, here's the deal. If you can just get my boss on, that's great. If neither one of us get on this flight, it's been nice knowing you, because I'm screwed. And she just started laughing and again humanized it, and then it's like all of a sudden she's like, oh, guess what, we're gonna bump some of these or whatever, and she's making room and we're on the flight. So don't develop this antagonistic relationship with another organization. With Iraqi soldiers, like, is it great working with Iraqi soldiers? No, it sucks. It's hard. But guess what? That's what we have to do. And I'll tell you something else. Strategically, the Iraqi soldiers that are descendants of the guys that we train, I mean, maybe not, I'm saying training or training descendants, right? The guys that we trained guys who just went and fought back and got Ramadi back from ISIS and got Mosul back from ISIS. Those are the guys that went in there and did the bulk of the fighting. Did they get supported by Americans? Yes. Did Americans do a kick-ass job of doing massive fire support? Yes. But the guys that were moving from street to street, those were majority Iraqi soldiers. Did they have special ops guys with them? Yes. But it was the majority of the people that were moving through the streets were Iraqi soldiers. And there's no way possible that wouldn't have happened if American coalition forces over the last, whatever it was, 10 years, 12 years, would have taken those guys and made them work and done the type of partner missions that we did with them. So it was, and when I say we, I'm not talking about us, the SEAL teams. I'm talking about everyone. Everyone made this concerted effort, and it ended up being a great call, because when those guys went out to finally have to fight to take these cities back, they were able to do it. Not totally by themselves, but they were able to do it. They did it. And that's a vast improvement. If we would have sent the Iraqi troops as they were when we were in Ramadi into Mosul, they would have gotten decimated. So it's a credit to the U.S. military. It's a credit to the Iraqi military that they have now gotten up to speed where they can push forward. And it's a credit to the U.S. military and other coalition forces that worked with them to get them up to speed. And what that all boils back to is forming relationships with the people that you are dependent on, not just the people, but the organizations. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we learned the lesson. Let's use them for their strengths. And that's what we learned in Ramadi. We put them in situations where they could succeed. We took enough Americans where we could actually succeed and help them succeed. And of course we put some efforts to mitigate risk too. We always had armed guys. We always had guys looking around. We always presented a hard target if one of those guys decided that they wanted to start batting for the other team. And we were in a position to handle those problems, and we never had any issues as a result. But that's what you have to do. Is it's all about building coalitions and using people's strengths and complementing those strengths and working together as a team. It's cover and move. If you don't do that, you're gonna fail.
Yeah. And to all you people at the airlines, thank you. Thank you for taking care of me over the years. Appreciate it.